Welcome back to Biomes. It's been a hot second since I've done one of these. This time we're talking about the Andes Mountains, and this is going to be by no means comprehensive because there's just so many cool things in and around the mountains. I can't even talk about all of them in even a 10-minute video. So this is non-comprehensive at all. So the Andes mountain range is the longest mountain range that is fully continental, so it doesn't extend into the sea and just goes across the one continent. It runs all the way from like the bottom of South America around Chile and Argentina all the way up to about Venezuela, Peru, Ecuador, all throughout there. So it is a massive mountain range with a ton of biodiversity in it. It's also the highest mountain range outside of Asia, with the highest peak on the mountain being almost 7,000 meters, which is ridiculous. So since it spans such a large area, there's a bunch of like little microbiomes in it as well, but this is just kind of a slightly larger overview of it. And so there's also a ton of different cultures of people living along and in the mountain range, and a ton of different biodiversity with the animals. And plants also. So there's a wide variety of plants, including a bunch of trees, like this tree, the polylepis tree, which is actually not like this one specifically, but there's a ton of different species within that grouping. There's also a wide variety of cacti and pine trees and some eucalyptus species, so there's a ton of different plants there. There's also this flower, commonly known as the flower of the Andes, and bear with me, I know I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation. Chuquiagua? Fuck, that wasn't it. But the flower of the Andes is a very common flowering plant, provides food for a lot of pollinators. Tobacco is also native to South America and a bunch of areas in the Andes, so that's a very common crop and export from there, so that's interesting. There's a ton of different insect species there, ton of butterflies, commonly the glass wing butterfly, which, yeah, the wings are see-through. You can see right through them like glass, which is nuts. There's also a variety of other invertebrates, such as a ton of different scorpions and spiders, like this one up here. I'm not exactly sure what species in specific this one is, but there's a lot of different ones. There's a bunch of different, very interesting birds there as well, such as the hill star hummingbirds, which are only found in the Andes. There's a bunch of species of the hill stars, but they're all found within the Andes Mountains. There's a bunch of really different, like, tropical, absolutely bonkers insane birds, such as the quetzals, the toucans, and this one of my personal favorites, the Andean cock of the rock. Yes, that's actually what it's called. Yes, this is actually how it looks. We also have our friends, the Andean condors, the largest bird found there that has made an appearance on my account before, an endangered species spotlight. We love a recurring character. Among some of the other birds, we have these guys, the tinamous, and they're a pretty cool bird that I think a lot of people don't know of. We also have the lesser rhea, which is basically just an ostrich ordered off of Wish. So these guys are a bit smaller than the ostriches and emus, standing at around 3 feet tall, but that's still very large for a bird, so they are still a pretty intimidating looking bird. Going back to the Andean condors for a second, those guys are the largest flying birds. These rheas are bigger, but they don't fly, so clarification with that. We also have the, bear with me for pronunciation, vicuña and guanaco, which are relatives of llamas and alpacas, but they're not domesticated. So the llamas and the alpacas are domesticated, the other two are not, they're wild. But the llamas and alpacas are used as livestock, for wool, for like pack animals. They're very versatile. Also got the absolutely adorable chinchillas that are found native in the Andes Mountains. Fun fact, my sister and I actually had a pet chinchilla for about a year when we were in high school. He was the cutest thing, but a lot of work, so we don't have him anymore. But yeah, that's where these guys are normally found. They're kept as pets, they're used for their fur. Again, very versatile, and they are the fluffiest things in existence, and they are just absolutely adorable, and I love them. Another rodent native there is the Viscacha. I think I've touched on these guys before in a previous video, but they're also found there. They're rodent, kind of vaguely related to rabbits. They're kind of used in the same context as rabbits, so again, pets or for food. We've got this funny looking guy, the tapirs, which I recently learned I've been pronouncing wrong my entire life. But yeah, these guys, they're super goofy. They're endangered, so I do have them coming up on my endangered species spotlight roster at some point. But yeah, they're pretty big. They're kind of shy, so they're not very commonly seen, plus being endangered, but they are very interesting. Going over to reptiles, we have some snakes such as the Andean milk snake over here, which is a very pretty species as well. There's a ton of like lizard species and other snake species, so the reptiles around the Andes are also very diverse. Going over to this sleep paralysis demon, this is the Titicaca frog from Lake Titicaca, which is found around the Andes Mountains, and this poor soul. Like, oof. There's also a variety of larger mammals and predators. Well, these guys aren't that large, but this is the Andean mountain cat. They are the cutest thing ever, and I am obsessed with them. We also have cougars or pumas or mountain lions. Same thing, depends on where you're from. We also have endangered spectacled bears that live in the Andes Mountains, so there's quite a lot of decently sized animals here. So yeah, the Andes Mountains are a very cool, very diverse biome. This video isn't even close to covering, like, all the information and all the cool things about it, but here's just a little bit of an overview of this really, really cool biome.